Hello, and Allahu Akbar means the God is most glorious. It's the Baha'i greeting. To all the people in the planet, my name is Abbas Tamori. I'm the elder of God, the defender of the cause of Baha'u'llah, his envoy on the planet, to interpret the writing and answer the questions that people have at this time. I'm going to discuss a response to our favorite American human being, Mr. Bill Gates. I'm the elder of God, and I have a responsibility for those spiritual leaders that in the planet they are acting as a hindrance to the light of the truth. And ironically, among all these ecclesiastic and religious groups and religious leaders, from Muslim to Catholic to all of them, a kind of a new emergence has happened. One could say that it starts from that Christmas Carol of Charles Dickens and Mr. Scrooge, that maybe promulgated this idea of giving and philanthropy among the rich people. For sure it had a positive effect. And one of the people at our time, Mr. Bill Gates, my favorite rich man, has become kind of an icon for benevolence, for charity. Especially he has such a humble attitudes and ways, and is basically down to earth. But this causes a problem. With all the good things that we can say, it also causes a problem. And these problems are practical to me. I've talked to a lot of people, naturally. And some youth even were saying to me that my prophet, my messenger, who I believe is Bill Gates, is a rich man that gives to all the people. And therefore, he, among others, Mr. Bill Gates and others like him, in future or at present time, I don't have to mention all their names, but they're becoming a hindrance. People say, why should we go to Baha'u'llah and the Baha'i Faith and any sort of religion? It's all about goodness, and there's a good guy there. He's doing good things, and everybody does what he does, planet will be resolved. It's actually contrary to the fact. Bill Gates doesn't know. Tonight I have to elucidate that they are unwillingly causing problem for people, unwillingly. Okay. I'm going to start with answering the question he has asked in website. He says that I'm paraphrasing. He says, I wish there was an answer to explain how all these things came to be in the universe. He says there's no scientific answer. He also says that people like Richard Dawkins, I think, they believe that in the past mankind needed this myth of presence and existence of God, and essentially the science replacing those myths, and as Bill Gates said, not all of it, but most of it. But it seems trend, according to him, is that what is known as religion will have to be replaced by science. Now that's a different discussion I will have after. But see, with all his scientific background, Mr. Gate actually doesn't know how this universe has come about. For me, rather, it's very simple. It's not difficult at all to know it. Of course, I have to mention also, he says, so there is a God. What's the use of it? I'd like to know what God would do positively in the life of a person. I don't know if he believes or not, but he says it's a good idea to believe in it. Whether it's a fact or is one of those things that we need to grow with it. Some stories we need. As for how this universe has begun, God, the actual guy who has created me and all of us, he has given in the form of a human being that we call Baha'is, we call it manifestations, has given answers. For example, in Torah, it says in the beginning there was darkness, and then he said, let there be light, and then there was 6 days, and then this was an explanation for the people at the time that it was satisfactory. It was superior over the mythology of the Roman, of the Greek and others, where gods married their own daughters, sometimes married their own mothers. This is much more sanity in it. In this case, because the mythology, which is the basis, is correct, explanation of God is true about the 6 days and everything, but it has different meaning. It is sort of like a mother and a father, they explain how you're born to a child of 5-6 years. In a way, they cover the truth, but they don't lie entirely to him. They talk according to his understanding. Understanding of the people at the time was this, but we can see 1500 years after, Christ improves on that, which is again same God. He says there's actually God, and then there's a Word of God, and then there's creation. So the Word, which represents the reality of Jesus Christ, it is a link between God and creations, between Creator and creations. You see? The same thing is accepted in Islam. Further we go in the Shiites, which are more sophisticated Muslims. The fourth Imam is called Imam Sajjad. He's the son of Hussein, who his father martyred in Karbala. He has rather a pretty good, nice explanation. He says the process of creation from God to the earth, it is 7 processes. He says, first of all, the person who wants to create this has to have a will. That means he must be alive. The sign of you having will, that means you're alive. You're not dead. And in Arabic, he calls it mashiyat. Then he says this mashiyat, which is, willpower, has to make a decision. Okay, now I want to do this. Just like us. And he calls that irada. And because you have the willpower and you're making an irada, you're creating a possibilities of what you wanted, what you can do. And he calls that ghadr, which means measures. Measures are the possibilities, whatever the thing can be. So, then he says, enter the 4th process of a ghaza, which means really the processing of these possibilities into becoming an existence, which requires a design. He calls it azn, a permission, what allows it to be, which is the design of something. And then it will have a time when will be created and when will be gone. Every composition has a decomposition, a time. And once the time applies to it, really it will get created and it comes to being. About 1200 years passed from the Muhammad and Islam, then Baha'i Faith appeared. Bob, which is the forerunner of the Baha'u'llah and return of Jesus Christ, he brings this process and he explains it a lot better, more explanation to it, about how these things has to be. Bob was, the revelation of Bob is like twilights between these past 6 days. By the way, 6 days means 6 prophets, because a day is equal to 1,000 years, and that would be Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and Muhammad. And 1,000 years after Muhammad, the 6 days is over, 6,000 years, and on the 7th day, God shall sit on his throne, which is Baha'u'llah, glory of God, prophesied in Bible, in even the book Buddhism, they prophesies to him as Amitabha. He will come himself, but Jesus calls him the Father. Jews, they call him Jehovah. Muslim, they call him Allah, or Rabbul Alamin, the Lord of the universe. And Baha'u'llah, which is now into a new era, compare Baha'i Faith to the other religions as university opposed to, high school. It's different. Baha'i Faith is a vast, ideology of God for entire planet, have certain principles, one of which is like the actual prime directive, you can say, is that religion has to be according to science and logic. Without a scientific and logical explanation, no belief should be adopted. Abdullah says it's mere imaginations. It's good for the person, if it makes you, to go, but if you want to bring it to the people to listen to it, it will have to follow science. Why? Because everyone has an opinion and ideas, just like novelists, and they create many thousands of ideas, and people follow these ideas, and they're contradicting each other and causes problem. It seems science is a good media to go through and decipher bad from good, practical from impractical, and throw it out or put it aside and see what is the core of it, could be followed by the people. So, before I get into the Baha'i Faith about this issue, I'm going to answer these questions. What all these things happens in this universe? When we talk about where everything has come from, we have to take a trip backwards from complexity to simplicity. That's how scientists they go about it. And you have to deal with 3 origins, because the universe, the fabric of the universe, is not just matter. It is matter intertwined with motion and time. There is nothing in this universe that is not involved in time. Without time, they cannot exist. Without motion, they cannot exist. There is nothing in existence that is not composed. That is my assertion to what Hegel and Karl Marx were talking about the matter. Karl Marx from the Hegel says that for a thing to be, it has to be in time, it has to have motion, it has to occupy an empty space. And then I said it has to be also composed. There is no matter in the universe, any part of existence, material existence that is not combined and composed of something. There's no pure matter that we can assume. So, we have to find out where is this original matter. Okay, if you want to go to the original matter, you don't have to look into the universe. You can look at an apple in front of you. Where is this apple coming from? Shoghi Effendi says, all the scientists are impossible for them to find out what is the essence of the matter. Where is the beginning of anything? What is the prime directive in the matter? It's true, it can never be found. Man is impossible for him to do. So, we know generally whether living or non-living, living beings are molecules and the non-living things are composed of matter, but even the living beings, their molecules are made of atom, and you know that we have the table of elements. Those are the elements that this universe has come from. There are other type of elements, but I know for a fact, but they're not in this table of the elements. They're different. To give you a hint, we know electron to be 2 around the 1 around the hydrogen and then 2 around the helium, and goes on. There are elements in the universe that they're not 1 or 2 around the nucleus. There are different nucleuses, and there are more electrons, more and less, and they're not radioactive in relationship to their center. So they become totally indifferent set of existence. We cannot even detect them sometimes. And there are yet more different things. So, but we are in Earth right now. We have to come up with an answer that it's very important for us, because it was the basis of the prime directive of our existence. We cannot simply say that it's a good idea to have a God, a moral sets of morality proposed by some imaginary being. If the basis of our life and our existence is imagination, we will live an imaginary life. Bertrand Russell says, if there's no God, we should not just out of need or necessity invent it. If there isn't, there isn't. This is the fact. We have to deal with it. The truth is very, very important. And the truth has great ramification in our life. So, what is it? It's atoms. Atom used to be unbreakable by Faraday, you know. Then, as you know, the Englishman scientist, I don't remember right now, J.J. Thomson, he found out between the two anode and cathode, they call it, there's this blue rays, and they didn't know what it is in Germany, and he found that he called it electron. The atom, which means unbreakable, broke. And then later on, they found out different particles, you know, Sir Rutherford. He found proton and the neutron, and goes on to the point that they found there's more particles than actual elements, and they have resonances, so there's a lot more. Kaon, mesons, go on, hadrons, there are many. So, to simplify the matter, as I told you, it's a trip backwards from the complexity to simplicity. Murray Gell-Mann, he said, you know what, I'm theorizing quark system, that based on the quark system would be what subparticles that the particles such as electron is made out of. Now, electron has 2 quarks, proton has 6 quarks, and there are 3 flavors, atomic flavors, call it colors, which make them 6 of them times 3, and there are 18 types. And there's also antimatter, so it's about 36 quarks. These quarks are mathematical postulations. No one has seen quarks. People said, you know what, recently in CERN, the European Agency for the Space, they had these accelerators and decided to collide the protons together, you know, the speed of light to hit each other. Maybe they can break it. They couldn't. And what is known as the strong force, which put the 6 quarks in proton, could not be broken, was stronger than they thought. So, this is where the science ends. We know there are quarks, Mathematically, we do not see them. So the entire universe made out of quarks. If this assertion is correct at the moment, it will change. But science needs to go to what is available right now to us. There's 36 quarks. So the science ends here. What do we do now? Mr. Bill Gates says science is the only things that we have to have. Because everything else has been harmful. Philosophy, religion, and other things. Science has done a lot of things according to him. We will discuss about that. So, now we have to take a step. Scientific philosophy. What was Karl Marx after? So what do we think? We say, okay, if the universe is made out of atoms, atoms are made out of smaller things called particles, and particles are made out of smaller things called quarks. Logically, we have to follow this trend. Then we have to say quarks are made out of something else, and something else, something else, something else. Scientifically, we should come to a point that everything is made out of one thing. I call that imaginum, an imaginary one. So we should all come from that. There's a problem with that. Problem with that is, as I explained, existence of the material life has to be accompanied with time and motion. What is the definition of time first? Time tells us that matter is always combined. A pure matter, which is not combined of anything but itself, does not require time to exist. Therefore is hindered from us. We can never understand such a thing. We are composition, and that's pure. We never know it. We are green, and that thing is blue or yellow. There's no way in the green we can find blue or yellow. Yet we know it should be. If green is not the beginning, therefore green must come from something. Not one thing, two things. Because if a green comes from green, then again, where is that green comes from? We have to say two agencies must have caused this to become green. Hegel calls it theses and antitheses that causes the synthesis. What is time? Time is like a measuring tape that measures the movement of an object from one time, one place to another place. If you roll a ball into a field, you can say the ball went 100 meters, measured it with this speed. Or you can say that it took 5 minutes to get there. So 5 minutes is actually that 500, or that 100 meter, that 100 feet. So A moves to B, you can measure it by foot, by meter, or you can say measure it by time. Time is the measurement that measures the motion of the A to, motion of one thing from A to B. And because everything is composed and combined, then there must have been a motion taking place. There must have been something that made one to become two. If it became two, then a motion taken place. This requires time. Therefore, time and motion is accompanied with a matter. There's no way out of it. However, that imaginum cannot be, because it's one thing. If you say it came from two, that can be the beginning. The two will have time and motion. But if it came out one thing, then that cannot cause this universe. That can become this universe. Because that thing has to be broken into two. But there's nothing else in the universe to collide with it. to interact with it, to bang on its head. There's nothing. Our universe is stagnated at this point. So we have to say, we need two things to have this. We have one thing, that's the matter. We call it prime matter. We have to have outside of that something else to pair up with it to create the first pair, the thesis and antithesis. But scientifically there's nothing there. Everything, summarized to that one thing. But that's not going to create a creation. Therefore we have to, there's no way for us but to accept there is something outside of this matter that causes to be paired matter. Let's call that metaphysic, non-matter. Let's call this being and call nothing, being and nothing. Physics, metaphysics, matter, non-matter. There has to be a pair in order to create time and motion. Because if I say there's a matter, there's non-matter, there is two. These two, they can create time and motion. The universe sets the goal. There was one a smart physicist a long time ago. He told me, good. Fantastic, he said. And I was drinking coffee. Put the coffee down and said, well, then, according to your explanation, conjecture, the entire universe must have been made out of physics and metaphysics. Where is the metaphysic, he said, in my cup? You can't say it was in the beginning and it's gone. The impact must be everywhere, because those two are the mother and father of this universe. I told him, as a matter of fact, there is. There is metaphysics in the cup that you're holding. I told him the cup is not natural. It's glass made out of sand in 10,000 degrees, I don't know. The cup, to be the cup, it requires a design, a planning. Something, an invention in the mind of the inventor. He had the cup in his head first. The entire design, measures and everything. There was a cup before this cup comes. This cup is manifestation of the reality of that cup. That's where Abdul-Basit is. Everything that we see is manifestation of their reality. Everything that we see is real manifestation of something that's more real than this. For a cup to exist, it does need a design and planning prior to its creation. You cannot simply put the matter on the table, it will not become cup. Look at a DVD, a blank, and the one loaded with the movie Spartacus. Or the entire secret of the universe, the whole Microsoft. You put them on the atomic scales, if you will not find even one Fermi difference between them. They're exactly the same. No electron is gained, no electron is lost. Then what is the nature of the information? You can say it's not existing, completely exists. Where is it? I was in a restaurant somewhere in Toronto. They had these little green beans. The guy said, so you can bring actually the spirits here. Well, yeah. I told him, you're a restaurant, you don't have green beans? He said, yeah, bring a big plate. I said, I wrote on the table, put them together. I wrote, I love you, with the green beans. I told him, there you go, I brought the spirit. So where is it? I told him, read it. What does that say? It says, I love you. I said, funny. This is green beans. Where does I love you come from? I just rearranged the matter to mean I love you. That was in my head, I love you. I manifested it using these beings. I didn't add or subtract from it. This is the metaphysics, a part of everything. That and the prime matter in combination has created this universe. But this begs the question where those two are coming from. Again, we have two. Now, as you can see, the nature of the first matter, prime matter, is completely different from the nature of the prime will. Basically, one is non-existence in the relationship to the other one. If you want to understand it, you have to use the matter to capture it, so we can see it in the form of a cup or in the form of this video camera. So it is like I can imagine there is a Bill Gates or there is no Bill Gates. There is no other third. I can only imagine there is existence or there is no existence. Two ways. Beyond these two, there is another, must be, another level of existence. We cannot call it existence because it is absolutely nothing there. As far as we are concerned, that absolutely is non-existence. That is God. It's like in physics. There is a white light and it breaks down in a spectrum. Becomes many, many lights. You combine all light, become white again. In that realm, when and where and how and which does not exist, because it is impossible to detect it even by imaginations. Imagination goes to prime matter and beyond it. There is no other imagination. You stand in front of the darkness. This is the universe, and on the other side, darkness. And you say, how many things are in darkness? There is nothing. How many darkness are there? How did that nothing came to be? But it is nothing. It does not need to be. It's absolutely nothing, 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 nothing. From that and nothing, things emerges out. That is not capable of creating this universe. It's nothing. But there is a universe. Here, just like the black hole, when we see the center is all black, it's nothing. God himself has not created this universe. Imam Ali is the second successor of Muhammad. He says in Arabic, Kamal Tawheed Nafyu Sifat Anhu. The perfect understanding of God is to make him bereft of all attributes and names. You can't even say he's creator, because creation takes time. Baha'u'llah says nothing can prove his existence, indicate his presence, or lack thereof. He, that thing in that darkness, something out of it is out. That is called the willpower. We say that willpower is responsible for these creations. Don't need to be too dramatic about it. Look at yourself, Mr. Gate. You have created, using your willpower, the fact of that you're living, Microsoft. Are you Microsoft? No. Microsoft emanates from you. You're not Microsoft. Microsoft can create a lot of files and books and everything in the digital realm, thanks to you. But those things are not Microsoft also. The actual book, which uses Microsoft words to become a book, that is not the program. That is the product of the program. In this case, you are God, your Microsoft or your willpower, when all the books written with the Microsoft or the creation. You see? That's not Christianity makes sense. There was God, there's a word, Microsoft, God is like you, and he has a Microsoft, which is word, and the word is creating everything. Like Walt Disney making cartoon. Or as today they make it three-dimensionals. None of it is completely irrelevant to the Walt Disney. It is unfathomable for this cartoon to understand who Walt Disney is. I can't. We're in a car, we're driving a car. Car is mechanic, we're biological. There's a connection between us. But we're not attached to a car. We're not the same, but we do work together. So, this is the answer to you that you're saying, where are we coming from? We're coming, that's how this universe has began and started. So, and then you said, what is the use of believing as God will do? So what do I care? What do I care? If there's a Titan galaxy destroyed 30 million light years ago. I mean, the Earth has got nothing to do with me. Is God relevant or not? You have to answer yourself. Is truth relevant or not? The truth about God, that truth is relevant. It can completely change everything. Let's see if the truth is relevant. When mankind, a few hundred years ago, at the time of Copernicus, they believed the Earth is the center. Everything goes around it, geocentric. He found out it's the other way around. That created, that's the basic, the A of the alphabet. That today, our progress is started on that. That brought Kepler and Galileo. That started a chain to come to the Isaac Newton. It made people to understand church is not everything. Church doesn't have all the answers. Persecution started. Revolution came. That truth is so relevant. It seems irrelevant. The truth of the God in the planet signifies only through his manifestation, which for you, if you're a Christian, your wife is Christ. For me, is Baha'u'llah, the glory of God. For Hindus, is Rama and Krishna. For Jews, are Moses. For Muslims, are Muhammad. They're all one being, different persona they play. One day Muhammad, one day Jesus, one day Moses, based on the need. It's an intellectual extrapolation to say an intelligent being, such as the will of God, responsible for these measures and the creations that we have, are not to leave mankind on his own, where he has not given him the instinct like other animals to live. He is very helpless. With his thinking, he can completely go and kill himself. There's no instinct. He doesn't run on the app. He just has to find out its way. It makes sense that he would appear among the people in different shape and form, in different time, to help them. You would if you were God. And why would you do that? Now we can fantasize. Any intellectual being such as yourself if it is only being in the universe, would feel alone, would like to have some company. And the company would be the intelligent being who has willpower, not controlled by him. Not entirely anyways. The willpower, the greatest commodity in the universe. God, the most precious things to him is that willpower. The free will, where it takes man possibly towards him. And he lures him by his religion, by his ways of doing, to get him to come to him. He wants to talk to him. His problem is that he's billions and billions years old, and his son is only, 6 million years? He doesn't even understand him. He has evolved into something completely different. The child doesn't know the father at all. There's so much difference of the age with them. And the process that they have to go. Many of them, they die and they don't get there. So, there is no difference between us and God except time. We are intelligent, so is He. He makes tree, we make Toyota, you make Microsoft. We do create, both of us. We do need time to do it. We do need intelligence to do it. But we have a limited time. For us individually, maybe 70, 80 years. Collectively, about 6,000, 7,000 years, no, 12,000 maybe, considering Hinduism. But that's nothing compared to what could be the age of this Creator. He is looking at us. Islam has a very beautiful way of saying it. He does not say God has created us. He says we are from God and we're going to Him. There's a trip, from there it comes down and goes back. It seems as a great cycle. So when it comes to His manifestation, Jesus Christ, and that is not a mythology of Mr. Dawkins says. Mr. Spartacus, he killed a lot of people. They sacrificed pure their life for freedom. They couldn't get it. This young, chubby face, short man, thin, lean, named Jesus of Nazareth, conquered the entire Rome. Ideologically took them all over and eradicated slavery. The old world of the Rome turned into the Europe of the Middle Age, where slavery was gone. Brought Muhammad, his second window, window 95, window 98. He brought Muhammad, who injected, science into his religion. Through all his books were translated, no problem against science. Muslims from Arabia, read the book please. What they were and what they become. Unimaginable what they did. 12th century, it's a collusion between this brother and sister, Christian and Muslim. Starts the Industrial Revolution as we are. The entire planet right now owes it, Europe anyways, and European originated civilization, to Islam and Christianity and Judaism, all of it. This is the result of that. These are the consequences of those ideas. And today, Baha'u'llah is here. He's explaining these things in this manner. He says there is equality between the right of man and women. How many women are suffering in the world? 1 billion? There you go. They're set free now. He says religion has to be according to science and logic. Get rid of all the imaginations and fables. Come into the scientific era. He introduces democracy in the religion. He says no individual shall and has the power to lead humanity. There has to be election in a city, in a country, and in the world. Among the Baha'is, 9. They rule the city and the country and the world only spiritually, not socially, not economically. But you want to marry, you go there. You want to divorce, you go there. Your problem, you go there. You're your spiritual guide. But there are people like you elected. Next year they change. There you go. The slavery, the spiritual slavery of man by another man called priest, mullah, chacham, I don't know, swami, is gone. Now you have the answer. What would it do to the life of the individuals? This is not even a fraction of what it means. A fellow from France, thanks to your Microsoft, I suppose, and your digital realm, he went through this program that I'm speaking on the YouTubes, and he accepted that what I say is the truth. He said he wants to come here. Next thing I know, he put $350,000 of money in my account. I'm called by the bank, what is this? I said, it's money. They said, no, this guy has sent this money to you. I said, he wants to buy the house. So we don't buy the house like this, isn't it? Like in France, they do it like this. You have to write, this and that and that. I said, no, he trusts me. I'm long term. I told him, no, just for a couple of weeks. And the manager of the bank, he said, there's something I don't know. I told him, I know you don't know. But he knows where I come from. This is the trust necessary. Of course, he came here and got the house. You want to know what happened? After a week, the house from $350,000 went to $450,000, $100,000 extra. I remember a friend of mine in real estate says, well, you still haven't sold. You can give his money back. You say you want to hold the house. I told him, no. It's spoken. There's no change in that. So you don't care about the money. I told him, actually, I do very much. But the clean money. How much I wished there was clean money. I don't need a lot of it. I would fix Canada. I would create that spirituality in action where natives and white are getting along. Where the drugs and everything is gone away. I will show it in a practical, in one city, and it percolates in Canada and the rest of the United States and everywhere. But there's no clean money. I asked Baha'u'llah, I'm his elder, general. He says, no. You have to understand the mission of God is a spiritual mission, is not a social mission. It's very hard to understand this. We have 3 needs. Economical need is for body. We have social need, to talk to each other, to marry, to have friends. But a spiritual need is something else. It's got nothing to do with people. It's between you and your God. It's what you do. Because you take a pleasure. That's good enough for you. In helping people. But how could a man like you, with all this good intention, actually hurt people? Yes, we can. You can. You are doing it. Because of you, because of Pope, because of so many pseudo-leaders, mankind, they're all hindering like a cloud in front of Baha'u'llah. Nobody see him because of you guys. And as a result, the world is where it is. The very God of the universe in the form of body of a man who comes here just like you. He was rich. His father was the minister of the Shah. He says he was growing on the cloth of silk was his dress. He didn't give some of it like you do. He gave it all. He ended up going to the jail with a chain around his neck that remained the mark of it for the rest of his life on his neck. They told him, come and follow your dad and you become the minister. Stop this thing. Baha'u'llah says, well, I have a physical body, but you do not understand. Under this is different spirit. I am not you. I have your body. Like we are like animals. We are like vegetables. We grow like vegetables. Then we're not just vegetable and animal. There's another program installed on that called humanity. Because of that we think. Baha'u'llah and Jesus Christ had a different program, not understandable by us at all. The sign of which is that why Jesus Christ spoke to people, he never wrote anything, signed at the bottom of it, like 10, 20 pages in the Bible, has brought 1.2 billion people for 20th century to believe in him and change things under him, which they have only a fraction of his truth. Fraction of what he said they have understood, and yet don't so much change. Muhammad says Islam is unknown and it will remain to be unknown. Even then, so much they progress to reach here. Baha'u'llah gave it all. He said, no, I will stay in the jail. And then he was turned to the Ottoman Empire. Without even shoe, they had to walk from Iran in a mountain to Iraq. They developed all arthritis in their leg. And from there, the Osmani government did not stop. They sent them all the way to where it is Palestine. 25 years in banishment there. Even in there, they put him in a jail for 2 years in one room. But he never complained from people on the pain they afflicted him with. And never stopped his enthusiasm in loving people and serving. So what is it? The life he gave, the social power to be famous and this and that, he gave it out. And yet nobody understands him. I am his most magnificent mind in the universe. There's nothing bigger than my mind. I cannot tell you a fraction of who I am and what I know. My dear, not even a fraction. But yet I make sense in what I tell you. No one takes it. Go listen to my video last night. I traveled in Israel and the surrounding country. I found out what the problem is. I told him what you should do. You do go fix the physicalities. Not understanding, Mr. Gate, that these physicalities that you are helping to grow, even the social improvement, it does need a spiritual dimension to it, without which everything is like flatliner. What is the point of populating people, saving their life, but they have no practical way of living together, and on account of the increase in the number and resources, they'll start to kill each other again. Genocides such as Rwanda and others have never happened in the history of mankind that badly, because our population is too much. We have a whole lot of material, gifts, thanks to people like you. They have made mankind like have elephantitis. One leg is very strong, the other one doesn't work. There's no spiritual value. Even is being defined what a spirituality is. People, they think it's some voodoo things. They don't know spirituality is just to give, be humble. You have all those elements in you, but yet you don't have the source, you don't know where it's coming from. And because of that, you stand, whether you like it or not, a competition to the truth of God. And people, they prefer you over Baha'u'llah, and that's the mistake they make. And in the course of time, when you die, I will see you there, you'll be a poor guy. as it is right now. Remember, there is a software in your head installed, and there's a design beyond your body. Your body, if the laptop dies, the design beyond it will stay. And there is, just like you have inserted in your Windows, there's a Microsoft Word where you have to write down who you are. You have decided who you are and you're writing it down. And then you'll find out so many of these people that you helped, they grow to become and kill other people. They lived a very sad life. A lot of destruction came because it was lopsided. You have to understand the third dimension of their spirituality. When I came in Canada in 1984, I could have 10 times more money than you. And the first year, I don't know, I just built a house. People said, oh my God, this guy is going to take over everything. I told them, you don't have to worry. I'm after other things. So because I have become who I am, there's no value to you, because you think real progress is money, is wealth that will save people. You're saving them from what? This science that you're talking about is a double-edged sword. Go think about it. Don't be naive. It might have saved a lot of people, as the population shows, but it also has killed and destroyed a lot of other people. It has brought depression, psychological problem. Perfect money, perfect social life equals to depression. You have everything you want physically and socially. What else do you want to do? There's nothing else to do. The incentives are gone. You don't understand the spiritual realm, which instinctively you do, others don't. They become depressed. This is the end of the physical and social progress, depression. If it is achieved complete in the planet Earth, all will go psycho. Incentive is gone. The spirit is not understood. People, they think they're just laptop. They don't know there's a software installed in their head. Just like your Microsoft. It's not, if it's not installed on the computer is nothing. It cannot work. It's able to receive the information, but if there is no information, there's nothing there then. People don't know it. They think everything is matter. So, yes, I could use money to sell things, but Baha'u'llah says that no, the money has to be clean. He doesn't accept this kind of money. It's very difficult. There are people that they, I don't know, they're lying or not. One of them says he wants to give $300,000. I told him that I like the man who gives the $300,000, not the money. You want me to do your job on your behalf? I'll do my own. You come and do your own. But he wanted to buy the spirituality by donations. I said this is a little different. It can't be working. Money can do, but it has to be completely clean. I cannot even explain you. All I know that your money is not permissible right now to be used. All right, this was for you, Mr. Gate. So you know I said this to you and made you responsible right now. Don't feel so good about what you're doing. I detected it and I told you it falls in my jurisdiction. Those who are putting their foot into the realm of the spirituality, which is the good deeds that you're doing, they have to know that they are setting competition with Baha'u'llah, who has given not his money, not his social status, but his life. And he is promised with all the religion that he is the one. And we think we're doing good. He's patient with other people, but you in this case is now official. You're responsible. Okay? I'm the elder of God. I'm the general. Okay? So what you want to do about it is up to you. Allah Hapa, God be with you.